Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing?
I have been open about my reasons for opposing the war. But one of my opponents in this race, Senator Clinton, has tried, I believe, to rewrite history. She voted for a resolution called, I quote, a resolution to authorize the use of the United States armed forces against Iraq. Now she's saying that she wasn't really voting for war. She cast her vote after failing to answer questions on Iraq. A report that raised enough doubts that the majority of Democratic senators who read it voted against it. We need accountability in our leaders. You can't undo a vote for war just because a war stops being popular. President Bush has used that authority to keep our troops in Iraq to this day. This is not just about the past. It is about the future. Voters need to judge us on the judgments we've made and the lessons we've learned. Senator Clinton has said her vote has not said that her vote was a mistake. She has simply blamed the civilian and military leaders who carried out the policy she authorized. If we don't know why Iraq met her threshold for war, how can we know what that threshold will be in the future?
Here now, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. I just think Hillary Clinton doesn't even know what she's doing. She points to Vanity Fair to show how to cover something. They covered up the Epstein deal. Senator Hawley, do you think she's even aware of that?
You know, what I think is really happening here, Jesse, is it's clear now there was collusion, after all, in the 2016 campaign. And the collusion was between Hillary Clinton and some tech executives who did, in fact, spy on Donald Trump, who did access his email servers. And worse than that, who went on, according to the special counsel, went on to try and infiltrate, that is, spy on the executive office of the President of the United States. I mean, this is some crazy, crazy stuff that Hillary has been involved in. And now it turns out the Clinton campaign was really just a criminal enterprise, which is what we've known all along. Somebody should go to jail for this, and I hope the special counsel is pretty soon going to be talking to Hillary Clinton.
Can you do anything about this? You must have some sort of subpoena power. I mean, you're a powerful senator. You're on a bunch of really important committees, Senator. There must be something you could do, at least kick up some dust with these corrupt people.
Well, you know, I think that I just discovered a good use for that January 6th committee over there in the House. I mean, once Republicans take back the House this November, if that committee really wants to look into interference in presidential elections, why don't they start there? The 2016 presidential election that Hillary Clinton tried to steal by colluding with big tech, by spying on her opponent, and yes, by lying to the FBI and then lying to federal courts. That looks like something that's worthy of investigation to me.
All right, well, they want to investigate you for a mug that you're selling on a website. I don't know what the big deal is. You have a mug, people can buy it on your website. This is a big scandal in D.C. Would you like to issue a statement, Senator?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's such an outrage, they say, that I am fearlessly and unrepentantly representing my state. You know, people said, Jesse, they said that I was supporting a riot back on January 6th, that they said that I was just stirring up insurrection. All lies. What I have been doing and will continue to do is to represent the views of the people of my state, to stand up for election integrity, to stand up for fair elections. And if you want to buy the mug, go to joshhawley.com.
That's very good. It also means that the congressmen are, I believe it's a mistake. It's a bad mistake.
И меня не убедят заявления, декларации самого такого респектабельного характера относительно того, что России нечего беспокоиться.
And I'm not persuaded by the assurances that we hear that Russia has nothing to worry about. But that was abruptly suspended and terminated in 1990.
Нельзя унижать народ, нацию, и нельзя рассчитывать, что это так пройдет все.
You may not humiliate a nation or people and think that it'll have no consequences.
И другое, это что уже, новая стратегия?
So my question is this a new strategy?
Говорят, нет. И оборвались в конце 91-го года.
I think it is
Вот если это будет продолжаться так, тогда все, о чем мы говорили, перечисляли, целый перечень проблем, их трудно будет решить.
I feel that if
Тогда начнем разыгрывать карты друг против друга.
I feel that if the same kind of games continue to be played, if one country plays some card against the other country, then all of those problems, all of those issues that we've been mentioning today will be very difficult to resolve.
Свободные выборы,
Glasnost,
политический плюрализм,
free elections, political pluralism,
плюрализм,
the problems of concern to you. If not, it'll be more difficult. Thank you.
We're banning all imports of Russian oil and gas and energy. That means Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine.
In one of the most powerful and unprecedented moves yet to punish Russia, U.S. President Joe Biden Tuesday announced a ban on Russian oil and other energy imports in retaliation for the invasion of Ukraine. But Biden warned it will come at a cost for American drivers already suffering sticker shock at the pump.
Since Putin began his military buildup on Ukrainian borders, just since then, the price of the gas at the pump in America went up 75 cents. And with this action, it's going to go up further.
Shortly before Biden's remarks, Britain said it would also phase out the import of Russian oil and oil products by the end of 2022, giving businesses time to find alternative sources of supply. Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
We will employ every method that we can, diplomatic, humanitarian and economic, Mr. Speaker, until Vladimir Putin has failed in this disastrous venture and Ukraine is free once more.
Russia is the world's top exporter of more than 7 million barrels per day of crude oil and petroleum products.
We will not be part of subsidizing Putin's war.
Biden acknowledged that many other European partners who are far more dependent on Russian oil can't follow the United States' lead, though he said the U.S. ban came after close consultation with international partners, and it has strong bipartisan support in Washington. Republican lawmakers like Senator Marco Rubio took to social media to welcome the decision and called for the administration to support more oil and gas production at home. Biden said sanctions imposed by the United States and its allies had already caused the Russian economy to crater. And in yet another gut punch Tuesday, energy giant Shell said it will stop buying oil from Russia and cut links to the country entirely, joining rivals BP and ExxonMobil, which have also announced plans to sell holdings in Russia and exit the country. Oil prices jumped Tuesday to nearly $130 a barrel. JP Morgan predicts oil could hit a record $185 a barrel by the end of 2022 if disruption to Russian exports last that long.
Your head in shame. You're a disgrace to America. Especially if you look at the fact that you have the Russian foreign minister, one of the toughest diplomats on the world stage, Sergei Lavrov, who said he conceded NATO's unity. Remember NATO that Donald Trump blew apart over the past 4 years when he was president of the United States? Remember the NATO that he constantly ridiculed and mocked and said he was going to undermine? The leaders of NATO in Germany, whether it was Angela Merkel, in Britain, Theresa May, of course women, whether it was Macron in France, NATO was at its weakest point since its founding in the 1940s. Lavrov conceded NATO's unity. Yeah. That's because Joe Biden has been working with allies advising Putin this past weekend. Every Western representative has come together. Can I see that quote again, please? Can you put the quote back up there? He said, every Western representative declared their absolute commitment to a unified approach, which confirms we need to negotiate with Washington. Of course, whoever the clown was that tweeted that out obviously doesn't understand geopolitics, doesn't understand what strength is.
Inside Russia today, our team witnessing protesters in the streets demonstrating against Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Those protesters were then rounded up. James Longman reporting in from Moscow.
This individual just stood right next to us, David, just watching what was going on, and the police have just taken him off the street. Hundreds of people were on this street earlier here in downtown Moscow to protest the decision by Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine. They don't feel that this is a man that represents their interests, and they're just taken away, put in these trucks over here. You can see the riot police in blue. There have been over 1,000 arrests across the country, in fact, at protests like these in over 50 cities. A large number of people here in Russia do believe what Vladimir Putin says because they've been watching and listening a lot of the state-controlled media. But for these mostly young people here, it takes a special kind of bravery to protest in Vladimir Putin's Russia, especially on the day that he goes to war.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
Behind me stands a wall that encircles the free sectors of this city, part of a vast system of barriers that divides the entire continent of Europe. General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Soviet Union felt like they were very much more powerful in the 70s because of our failure in Vietnam and the conversion of many countries to communism, and they felt like they were on the march, they were on the move.
This is the third occasion since World War II that the Soviet Union has moved militarily to assert control over one of its neighbors.
For the first time, Jimmy Carter admitted that he finally realized what the Soviet Union was all about. Well, the Americans were not quite sure what to do with regard to Afghanistan. There was concern that the country is so impossible to manage and govern, even by the Afghanis, and nobody else has ever really won the war there.
The anti-government rebels call themselves the Mujahideen.
My dad was supporting Mujahideen, and he was never happy for the Russians to come to Afghanistan and occupy my country. My uncles from both sides, from my mother's side and from my dad's side, were fighting against Russians. They were in the Mujahideen forces.
Do you think that the Mujahideen alone can get the Soviet army out of Afghanistan and topple the government?
Really, it is a difficult job, really. It's not easy. Afghanistan people, they are very poor and they have not enough arms against these modern weapons of Russia. But the people in other countries, they could support the Mujahideen, providing arms, weapons, money, food, clothes, medicine, anything.
The Mujahideen are alarmed by Soviet occupation of other Muslim nations.
We've seen what happened in, Central Asian republics. Now, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, all the other republics.
They're going to need millions of dollars worth of arms to fight the Soviet army. The U.S. goes public with its fight against the communist Afghan government.
They figured, we're not going to go in there and let it become a graveyard for our people. The Soviets are in there, they've already made the commitment, so let's just funnel aid to the Northern Alliance and then to the broader group called the Mujahideen, and just make the Soviets pay the price for kind of going into the wrong place at the wrong time.
So, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
Now, here's something you are not going to hear on the mainstream media. What you do hear is warmongers arguing that we must protect Ukraine because it is a quote-unquote democracy. But they're lying. Ukraine isn't actually a democracy. For example, to hold on to power, Ukraine's president shut down the 3 TV stations that were openly criticizing him and his policies, imprisoned the head of the opposition political party that had come in second place in their elections, and went and arrested and jailed that party's leaders. This is exactly what Putin has been accused of doing. But Ukraine did this all with the support of the United States.
promised 100,000.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics. Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
I have been open about my reasons for opposing the war.
He's been open for his reasons for opposing the war, guys. Hi guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's it going? Today we're talking about populism, Putin, which everyone's talking about. We're also talking about propaganda. And let me just tell you guys, the conditions prevailing in our society tend to transform neurosis and even mild lunacy into a commodity, which the afflicted can easily sell. Theodore Adorno said that. James Fenimore Cooper said the truth is that demagogues usually run democracy. And ever since billionaire Donald Trump declared his candidacy for the 2016 Republican presidential nomination in June 2015, politicians, both Democratic and Republican, they've gone to the media and the global public to express escalating concern for the Republican president Donald Trump. He's a threat to democracy. He's a menace. He's a Putin puppet, Assad apologist. They turned his entire presidency, his administration, into a commodity for sale, which Donald Trump, by the way, was trying to do in the first place. I find kind of ironic, guys. He won his supporters by playing upon their, unconscious mechanisms, rather than presenting them with rational arguments. I mean, yeah, they're bringing drugs, they're criminals, they're rapists. Not a really rational argument. But the funny thing is, the most ironic thing is that even worse than the things that Donald Trump was saying and doing was the projection of the Democratic Party and the Democratic nominee projecting her own crimes of stealing classified documents, lying to the FBI, and colluding with Russians and Russian oligarchs, projecting that onto a game show host. And with that, guys, we have, in our democracy, two political parties, two sides of the same coin, breaking the law, nefariously kicking the can down the road till there's no more road. We have income inequality not seen since the Gilded Age. Up is down, left is right, and the conglomerate mainstream media is owned, bought by a board of directors that sit on Raytheon, Boeing, and other bomb makers in the military-industrial complex, guys. With the funding of the military-industrial complex rising every year and income inequality growing every second, gas and inflation adding to this. Now we have a war that's going on where the propaganda is risen to absurd levels, guys. I have to tell you, I didn't even, when this thing first started, it was literally like Iraq. I didn't know what was true anymore. But in the midst of the absurd levels of propaganda rising, we have a king, we have a victor, we have a hero, and his name is Zelensky. A man who imprisoned his own political opponents, just like Putin. A man who was almost unelected to his presidency if he did not jail his political opponents and shoot them with rubber bullets. Zelensky is now a hero in the eyes of the American people. And the Russia-gating that culminated throughout the 4.5 years of Donald Trump's presidency has come to a narrative head. So guys, in this live stream, we're going to be free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. We're going to try to sort out the truth. I don't take sides. There's only one side in this country. That's the United States of America. We're united. We're a nation of one, working together for the common good. I just want to be real with you. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I think that the lesser of two evils is evil. I think 0 times 5 is 0. I think about empirical data, and I think about facts, and I'm trying to find those. So if you're on the chat, make sure that you make your voice known, because I want to know facts, and and this is not a propaganda channel. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, and I'm not going to tell you what sounds great, and I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I'm trying to find the truth. I'm a seeker of truth. So if you want to be a part of Tommy Nation Politics, guys, make sure you go to www.tommynationpolitics, subscribe, like, share the videos, hit the notification bells. You can also contribute to Tommy Nation Politics on Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. Tommy Nation Politics, one word, capital T, capital N, capital P, Tommy Nation Politics. With the truth-seeking, guys, I have with me my lovely co-host, Stephanie Smith, and one of my good friends, he's become a good friend, Jamar Jabari, from the Voice of Change podcast. And we're going to explore what is true and what is not true. Guys, welcome to the show, and welcome to Tommy Nation Politics. We already have a comment. He wasn't electric. The U.S. in 2014 went into Ukraine and overthrew the democratically elected person. Yes, he was not. Oh, yeah.
Was funding Russian-backed.
What's that? Say something? Someone say something?
No.
Okay. So, Jamal, first thing on the docket is we have a Russian war. The propaganda's at absurd levels. And we have a hero that's come from this because there's got to be a scapegoat and there's got to be a hero. There's got to be a good and there's got to be a bad. There's got to be something we can cling on to for a semblance of purpose to this war machine. And there's got to be a bad guy that we can pour the inflation on, the income inequality on, and all of the things that are failures because our leaders funnel the money to the wealthy.
Well, when the bad guy really is the bad guy here, it's,
Well, who is really the bad guy?
Not
though?
hard
Who is?
to decide.
Is there just one bad guy, Stephanie? Though?
On.
Is there just one bad guy? Because Stephanie, watch this.
Your fight is our fight.
Ваша боротьба – це наша боротьба.
2017 will be the year of offense.
Рік 2017 рік буде ріком нападу.
All of us will go back to Washington and we will push the case against Russia.
Ми всі повернемося до Вашингтону і ми будемо відстоювати санкції проти Росії.
Enough of a Russian aggression.
Досить вже російської агресії.
It is time for them to pay a heavier price.
Час вже щоб вони заплатили важчу ціну.
I believe you will win. I am convinced you will win, and we will do everything we can to provide you with what you need to win.
Я вірю в те, що ви виграєте, переможете. Я переконаний в тому, що ви переможете, і ми вам допоможемо всіма можливими засобами.
Це те ж саме гільзи з ворожих БМП, які розмальовані художником радянського.
З Новим роком, дорогі мої!
So this is the argument that I'm going to make, and I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say Putin's a good guy. I'm not saying that at all.
Bombs on elementary schools, nuclear power plants. I don't see the Ukrainian president doing that. I mean, I don't see that happening.
He wouldn't have any bombs if it wasn't for
who's
us.
Who's really the bad guy in this whole thing?
Stephanie, I'm not defending Putin, but I'm raising some caveats, and I'm raising some nuance to this. My nuance to this is. Yeah, because this is not about Putin and how he's a good guy. I'm not cheerleading Putin. I don't give a shit about Putin. He's a fucking man of power, and he murdered a lot of people. I'm not defending this guy, but I'm saying there's more than one bad guy. And I'm just saying this culminated into from a broken trust, broken promises, broken treaties. And the fact that we can't keep our words is very disturbing. The fact that we get our intelligence from a guy named Crumb, who lied to an intelligence about weapons of mass destruction, and we still believe this intelligence, and and everything that they say is disturbing to me. I want to raise that to my panel, is the fact that we're still in since September 11th, 2001, we have been inundated and conditioned with intelligence propaganda. And as I was trying to, that wasn't to defend Putin. I'm just saying this has been a conditioning mechanism to make us hate the Russians, hate the Muslims, be nationalists. And what disturbs me is liberals seem to be inundated with this nationalist propaganda on a level where I have not seen before. What do you think, Jamar?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to first address the comment. Zelensky was elected in 2019. So he came in after the coup was already established and took over. And they were already about 5 years in. And he had a campaign on peace. And you're right, he almost lost, but he still won. And he failed in bringing that peace. He failed.
He did.
The issue is that I see somebody's making the comment about the Nazis. So Jimmy Dore made a great segment about this, where they actually show somebody that was a part of the Budan coup, who was actually saying that, look, even though there was 8% Nazis, we still had the authority, we still had the vision. And that video that you showed of John McCain and other Democrats were a part of backing this coup that happened. This is called the Maidan Revolution. It's not a revolution to me. It's basically the toppling of a democratically elected government that the people has already chosen and putting in a far right government to take place. So Zelensky didn't know that he wasn't going to be able to solve anything until he got into power, and there's no telling what they told him after he won. By the way, this guy was just a comedian. He had no political background at all.
So it's funny thing that you brought that up is that we have no telling what they told him, but we do know what Trump told Zelensky when he asked for aid. Remember that?
Right.
It was his first impeachment. Trump's first impeachment was they impeached him for withholding aid, right? Or it was vague articles of impeachment, because the Democrats have already done everything else. In fact, Barack Obama did not fund Ukraine. Ooh.
Yeah, he did it. And he was smart in that, because he knew that would make Russia worried. That is the big part that is a lot people have to talk about, the expansion of NATO. And also, look, when I say this, I don't want people to think that I'm saying I'm agreeing with Putin invading. That's not.
We're not saying that.
I don't agree with that.
But
I want to make sure for the audience, because I have been taking
y'all get
a little bit of backlash.
Erase the taglines of liberal propaganda. Your Putin puppet, Russian asset, sexist, transphobe. None of this goes on in the Tommy Nation politics atmosphere. We're free thinking, innovative, and open minded. So you could take your taglines and your propaganda and your fucking smears. You could take that to MSNBC and CNN. We don't call people names here. We're literally thinking about the situation and finding solutions. We're not going to smear each other. So I know you guys are used to Putin puppet, Assad apologist. In fact, the reason I started with Barack Obama's speech is because she don't forget who started the birther thing. Don't forget who started the birther thing in the first place. Don't forget who this woman has caused so many problems, from arming the Mujahideen to smearing the president of the United States, Barack Obama, as a birther, and then Trump carried that along with, and then like she's lied and stolen classified documents since the cows come home, and she has never paid for her crimes. She's the reason our country is high with the tensions of Russia. How Putin, like Trump, had to do sanctions on it because he had to show that he was tough. This is all just a big pissing match, and this is what it's culminated to, guys. This is the culmination of our politics, of our diplomacy. So this is what I'm saying: is forget about who the bad guy is, and think about how we got here. Also, think about this, guys. The language of this whole entire conversation has now taken us all the way back to September 11th, where we're talking about Saddam Hussein is an imminent threat. He's got weapons of mass destruction. He needs to be taken out. Did you hear Lindsey Graham yesterday talking about how someone in Russia needs to assassinate Putin? Did you hear that?
Like assassinating leaders don't solve anything.
Lindsey fucking Graham, a sitting senator. Like, just think about, guys, what would happen if someone in the Middle East if someone in the Middle East said someone should assassinate Joe Biden? We would be in that country day one, like before he even finished the sentence, bro.
What does this have to do with the war in Ukraine?
I'm talking because the propaganda is risen to absurd levels. How are we sure what's going on, and how are we sure how we can solve the problem if we don't know the truth, Stephanie?
Well, I think the way that we solve the problem is that the first part is that we have to acknowledge that surrounding our embassies around the country and expanding NATO. And the reason why they want Ukraine to be in NATO in the first place, so they can put nuclear warheads there that can face towards Russia. Just like how in the Cold War we had nuclear warheads in Turkey, and then they had nuclear warheads in Cuba. This is a very scary situation, and I think the point of the matter is that we have to understand the nuance of how this all started. Putin didn't just decide, okay, I'm going to invade. Putin got pushed to feel that he has to invade, and I don't think that was the right solution for him to do that because of
obviously not
the genocide that
it's
was
backfiring.
happening. Yeah, there was a whole civil war for 8 years since 2014 that's been going on between East Ukraine and the capital. And the capital has killed over 14,000 people in East Ukraine that are Russian descent and Russian speaking Ukrainians. The Donbass has asked Putin to come in, and he ignored it. But then he felt that he had to do it around recent current events before he invaded and turned it into a republic, which is the Lugansk and Dugansk. I'm not Ukrainian, so I'm definitely pronounced that incorrectly. But there's been a whole civil war that mainstream media is not talking about. They're not talking about how it's a civil war.
Well, also the list of Russian presidents before Boris Yeltsin and the like, talking about how the NATO alliance. First of all, the USSR back in the day tried to join NATO, but they were a communist-hating society that really was. They were literally armed the Mujahideen. Guys, think about it. They armed the Mujahideen to literally try to destroy the communist regime.
Hey guys, can I add something once
Go
you're
ahead.
done?
Please, no, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, I think we should keep a bit more of an open mind of why Putin is invading Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
Because there is propaganda, but there also could be, several different reasons, and we should probably talk about some of them. I believe one of them is that it basically Putin is using the excuse of NATO, basically as he used it as a pretext to invade Ukraine because he wants to unite what's left of the Soviet Union.
I thought that at first too.
I have to disagree with that.
I think he wants.
Well, I thought that at first too, Jamar, because he annexed Crimea. Remember, he annexed Crimea as well.
Right. Well, if I could elaborate on that, so I could clear the airways on the whole USSR thing.
Let's just go down the list of go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think that's a good conversation to have because a lot of Americans don't actually know what kind of system the Russian Federation runs under currently today.
Right.
They are not communists and by far any means socialists. The closest you could get to socialism in Russia today, because Russia's a big ass country, there's certain towns in certain regions that want to keep the same system that the Soviet Union had because their
Yes.
people feel more comfortable and protected under that. So
Yeah.
that's a policy change, but it's not the actual system of the government. The government itself is capitalist. The USSR died in 1991.
I'm basically
That was
talking
another
about
coup.
rebuilding the empire.
Well,
Not the
see,
form of
that's
government,
the
I see what you're saying.
propaganda
actually
part,
I see what you're saying.
rebuilding
right?
Well,
But that's the
why is that
propaganda
propaganda,
part.
though, John Moore? Because
Okay, yeah.
without the
I'll
communism, I
explain.
know there's Russian oligarchs. They're not communists. There's no
They're Russian
oligarchs. There's no
Oligarchs are
oligarchs in a communist
capitalists.
country. I know, but
You hear
he wants
oligarch,
the
that's
but the
capitalist.
power of the Soviet Union though
So
to
the
reunite
thing
that.
That would be
right.
terrifying.
Well,
It's definitely terrifying. Definitely
Power
terrifying.
and territory. Power and territory. That would be very, very, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, the thing is that we have to understand that Biden actually, there's a video, I could send you the link. Biden in 1997 talks about how Russia is afraid of NATO expanding. And then you fast forward today, he doesn't even want to mention that and say that they have no reason to be afraid or anything. But he knew in 1997 that they felt like NATO expanding was an issue. And now this is 1997 when Russia is no longer communist. They are capitalists now in 1997. And they're regrowing from a 1991 coup that destroyed their whole union. Um this is something that has been going on for years that they are fearful that the United States and NATO are going to destroy Russia, and because they have this vendetta against Russia that started because of the Soviet Union. Putin has a speech that you can see on YouTube, which I wish that they aired here in America, but they did not, because he actually goes into detail on blaming the Soviet Union for what he has to do with Ukraine, which I disagree with, because he has got his history a little bit mixed up when it comes to Vladimir Lenin making the border for Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia, they have a huge bond. They have family, they have cousins, they have ancestors. They all share a very same culture.
It's
Them
like our
fighting each
Civil
other,
War. It's like
yeah, exactly. The Civil War. It's like South versus North here. How they had the Civil War here. They were killing each other. They were killing each other's family members. This is a very emotional thing that's happening right now in that region. What they asked for, that they're trying to say that that's not a reason to ask for, which is something that I kind of disagree with the demilitarization for Ukraine. But they want to demilitarize Ukraine, take
Right.
away the Nazi influence, because the Nazi influence is what started the Civil War for this past 8 years that the media does not want to talk about. That
Of
killed
course, they don't want to talk about
14,000
it.
people in East
It
Ukraine.
cramps the liberal style to talk about white supremacy, bro. You don't
Right,
talk about
right, right.
In fact,
And
guys,
Ukraine is
I
not
don't.
a Nazi country. It's not.
Well, I don't want to get off on a
It's
tangent.
influence.
Right.
But I don't want to get off on a tangent. But I just want to tie this into it because I think it's very interesting. But I know we're talking about Russia, but it's funny how, like, during the State of the Union, Biden he a full 180. He wants to fund the police. He wants to fund the police so hard, bro. He's a funder of the police.
We can't
Why does he want to fund the police,
here.
bro? Why does he want to fund these fucking guys? Well, because January 6th, bro. You see, nobody's safe. And it appears in the New York Times. They were afraid to use force on these white supremacist Russian puppet Assad apologists because they thought they could get in trouble if they touched white people in the fucking Capitol. So they didn't. That's why the white people broke in so easily, because they thought if they use force. This is hilarious, bro. The Biden administration is defending. They're defending cops and they're defending force. They should have used more force. They should have shot him up. Because this is the people's house. We should have shot all the people. I don't know the fucking angle. This is my thing. I don't know the angle, or I don't know what the spectrum is of this administration, bro. They're every fucking where. You have Vice President Kamala Harris talking about
look at what they inherited.
saying inflammatory remarks about how Ukraine can't wait till they join NATO. Then you have him at the fucking State of the Union talking about he's gonna fund the police. Like, where is this guy? Is he a Republican in the 90s or what?
Well, see, the
What
thing
is Joe
is,
doing?
I feel bad for Ukraine President Zelensky on the fact that they basically led him on. They said, "You're with us. We're going to protect you. It's okay to go and have this aggression towards Russia." And now you see what's happening right now. They left them. They're all to themselves, defend for themselves. And the social media here is trying to say that they're winning. That's not the case. They're not winning. Russia
No, they're
is
not.
surrounding
They're
a
not.
lot of ground. They're taking a lot of ground. And Zelensky literally said that we are going to lose more people if NATO does not get involved. Now, why do you think
Exactly.
We
NATO
know
doesn't want to get
NATO's
So
not
that's
involved?
the
going to get
scary part.
involved. We
Right.
can just, that's out the window. NATO won't get involved. They're just not
Right.
going to.
Why not, Stephanie? Because I don't know why they won't. So
NATO
World War
won't
why
get
won't
Three.
they?
involved because it risks World War III.
So why is the vice
We will
president
not
talking about
shoot at Russians.
the Ukraine joining NATO? Why did we have these inflammatory intentions? Why do we want the Ukraine to join NATO? How does that help our interests
We
again?
don't.
Well, then why did
They
Kamala
wanted them to
Harris?
join.
Kamala Harris made that comment.
But we turned them down when they asked to join NATO.
Right, because it interferes with Russian security, national security, and we would have a war. So why is the vice president now? That's what I'm trying to say, guys. Is there's more than one villain in this. There's a whole bunch of incompetent idiots going around in foreign policy talking about can't wait till TikTok, can't wait till Ukraine joins NATO. What? This is dire.
But right now, what you have is a madman murdering children, elderly, women, and murdering indiscriminately, and that.
Right, just like Iraq, just like we did to Iraq.
Yeah.
We literally did that to Iraq.
But
So.
1
this
million.
is happening right now.
I know, you're right, Stephanie. So what should we do about this? Should we go to war? Should we go to war against Russia?
No.
What do you think,
No.
Stephanie?
I wish.
No.
No, not at all. I wish they would. We need to give Putin some kind of an out to make it seem like he has an out.
You
Because
think the United States is going to give this guy an out? They want him just like Saddam.
They're going to have to give him some sort of out, because if not, he's already pissed and doubling down on his attacks.
Lindsey Graham is going to cry every night for the rest of his life if they give Putin an out, because they've been planning this. First of all, the two things they've been planning this. They've been planning this. The Russians have been planning this for a long time. You can tell because they're energy efficient, they're medicine efficient. They make their own food, so they're gonna be fine with our sanctions. They don't need our shit. We make shitty shit.
Because
we outsourced our jobs. The Democrats outsourced our jobs during the Occupy Wall Street protests.
They expected our sanctions. I'm pretty sure they
did.
A lot of stuff we did, but there's a lot of stuff they didn't.
Do we expect the sanctions to hurt us?
Yeah, well, of course.
Oh yes, you should. Oh yes, you should.
With oil and gas, that's gonna
even more than the Russians. Even more than the Russians.
Well,
because if so, why? This is again. What are our interests? Why are we hurting our country? Why are we doing the things we're doing? I don't get it. I'm frustrated.
Here's the thing. I think that the issue is that when we talk about sanctions, the government of whatever place that they're sanctioning gets rarely affected. What really gets affected is the people, the working class.
Right.
So you have Russian working people that are losing their savings. They're losing their bank account. They can't even go on fucking Netflix, for God's sake. And that's not even like a big deal there, but the fact that they are literally being crippled in so many ways. They're being crippled in so many ways that can affect their health.
If you go on Twitter, it's ablaze with all these people who don't give a shit. They love it, and then they can't wait for us to get involved. I'm just like, y'all go in. Y'all go in. Let me know how it goes, because I know how it's gonna go. It's gonna go. We're gonna end up tossing nukes at each other because Putin has his arsenal on high alert. And that was
did overtake a power plant that powers how many reactors around the world? Nuclear reactors around the world.
So that power plant, they actually bombed a building next to it. They didn't bomb the power plant itself. But the issue is that why the hell did you bomb a power plant, a building next to the power
Yeah.
plant?
Why did
That's
they?
so scary itself. But you know, war is
It was
crazy.
shelling,
War is
I
crazy.
think, from that building. It was shelling from it.
So Stephanie, do you think that Putin's directly responsible? Like he gave the order to do those things? I'm just wondering because
Yes, because
I
it's
don't know.
on the way to Kiev. I believe he did because it's right on the way to Kiev, and that is his ultimate goal is Kiev.
Is that the capital? I'm a stupid American.
Yeah, he wants to denazify and demilitarize. So he needs Kiev if he wants to get that accomplished. Definitely. But you also got to remember that even with this is the issue with war. We hear one thing, and then we find out that it was a totally different thing.
Totally.
Because
I learned that lesson.
off.
Learn that lesson.
This is pretty transparent, though. So far this has been pretty transparent. I mean,
what has Stephanie? Because this is the same script from Iraq. Imminent threat. Get him out. Assassinate the guy. We're going in. I already know what's happening next. You know what's happening next because I've seen this movie before. We're going in.
About live streams, not news.
Okay, I thought you was like this war. This war is kind of transparent because it's a rerun from 2002 when we invaded Iraq. They're speaking the same language, imminent threat, weapons of mass destruction. They even said weapons of mass destruction on CNN because they're so dumb. They had to give it away.
They're both bad.
They literally gave it away. Oopsie.
They did, but you
I
don't see Ukraine doing that. You don't see Ukraine doing that. You see Ukraine fighting like fucking hell.
Now,
but I'm concerned about what we're gonna do. I'm sorry. I do care about the people of Ukraine, guys. Yeah. But caveat, what are we gonna do? Because we do things. We do things like invade.
We do.
And then we also do coups. We also do coups for oil in Venezuela. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Funnel.
Or what are we doing right now?
We're gonna continue to funnel whatever we can to them. Possible. NATO is not gonna get involved. I mean, it's gonna want to go to World War III for Ukraine.
Stephanie, but you're a smart, well-rounded person. Our leaders are nothing but psychopathic, narcissistic, megalomaniac puppets of the rich. So what are they gonna do? Let's talk about our country and what the ideas we all have about Medicare for all. They're not having it. So what are these people gonna do?
Biden on the subject does see, back to the Russia thing because we are talking about Ukraine and Russia.
Let's not talk too much about it because until we get into it, then we can talk about it. But I feel like if we keep talking about all this, then we're just like I don't know what. I feel like we're just playing the game. Are we playing the game?
No, because we're discussing different options and different opinions than what we have read and what other people have read. We could be saying things that people haven't thought of. When you talk to other people, things come out. Brains, they collapse. Sometimes things collaborate. Yeah.
If you talk to Whoopi Goldberg about the Holocaust, she says it's inhumanity to man. Man's inhumanity to man. That was interesting. Whoopsie. But anyway, back to Ukraine.
She's crazy anyway.
She is crazy. She's dementia riddled too. Okay, but what are we gonna? That's what I'm afraid of. But like you were talking about the pretexts, the false pretexts. So we have what was the first false pretext that we talked about? Jamar, you remember?
Well, the first false pretext is that they said that they bombed the nuclear plant, but it was actually it was actually next to it, a building next to it. I believe also there was didn't I hear about a submarine or something that killed mad people, but then they found out those people are still alive.
That was a false flag, bro.
They're all alive.
This is what I'm saying, Stephanie. These people are liars.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
I mean, what false flags? What are y'all saying were false flags?
Oh, the people on the submarine. They said they died. They had that on CNN. Turns out never happened. These people didn't die at all. Yeah. They're fine. They were saying look on the Young Turks. Jake Uger. He did a fucking thing where he cried about it.
I never heard of it because I don't watch the Young Turks.
Yeah, Jake Uger cried about it, bro. He's gotten better at acting, bro. He has. He's not loud anymore. He's just he said, "Fuck you, Russia," and then they died.
But we also have to take into account that the Civil War has not ended just because Russia invaded. So there's no telling I was listening to Jamal Thomas, who has a radio broadcast called Fault Lines, which people should definitely check
Yeah.
out. He talks to military
I'll listen.
personnel, like former military personnel, and they talk about how the Nazi groups that are losing are starting to use people as um, like basically cannon fire in a way. Like they're trying to like stand by. They're trying
Like
to use
fodder?
people as shields. They're trying to use innocent people as shields, and so the casualties could also be who they're killing, and then also who is being murdered by Russia's bombs and stuff like that. We were not going to really
Yeah.
get a full understanding of what's going on. There's also studies that's saying that
Saddam Hussein did the same thing.
Oh, we'll never know
gross.
we'll
Yeah.
never know 100% what's going on ground.
Yeah. So the Civil War has not ended yet. That's my main point. So they're still beefing with Russian speaking Ukrainians. So
Right.
Yeah.
it's
Stephanie's
there's no
right.
telling
It's
what's
like a civil
happening with
war.
that.
So
Right.
how is this? Yeah, go ahead,
What
Stephanie.
what is with this? Okay, one thing I'm not up to date on is what's this neo-Nazi Ukrainian thing going on? I have been.
So the neo-Nazis are always loud and they're raucous and they love to kill, so they get a lot of attention. But apparently, during this Donbass, they do. They're always loud and they love to
They didn't
kill.
get enough
They
attention
talk
with
about how
children.
they didn't. So like literally, they were bragging about how they were the ones who were responsible for some kind of Jamar. What were they talking about? They were the ones who were responsible for some kind of
It was a
upset that the
massacre.
United States. Yeah, it was a massacre. The United States wanted to happen, but they didn't want to get involved. So 8%. They said
Why
without
would they
them,
bring that up now?
without them, it would have been a gay parade. That's what they said. Because they want to feel, I don't know, they want to feel like their white genocide will never happen.
If you listen to
Every
what
white
that
baby will
guy
never
is
be colored.
saying,
I don't know why.
if you listen to what that guy is saying, he's literally like very
They were
like
bragging about it, bro.
scary. He's very scary. The dude that they were talking to, that guy is very fucking scary.
So, and these are the
And
people.
it's real. It's fucking
So,
real.
who are these people? These are the people we're arming, right? We armed them,
Yes.
right? Because
So
that's what he
that's it.
said. He bragged about
Thank
that
you for
too.
bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up. Israel has been arming them.
Israel's been arming white supremacists.
Yes.
Really? Holy shit!
There's articles from the neo-Nazis.
I was wondering what Israel thinks about all this because
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. I didn't know what you said.
I'm sorry. Well, they backed the coup. Israel
they
backed
think
the coup as well.
they still have that whole thing though. The Russians came in and defeated Hitler. Remember? So they still have that whole thing with the
Well, the thing is that a lot of people are very stuck on the part that Zelensky is a Jew, but they need to
That's
understand
been the main propaganda line.
Right. So that's what making them say that it
it's
can't be
real.
true because he's Jewish.
Oh, it is real, but like it's like I'm black. I'm a black president, and that's why I don't do police reform. This is what they're doing to Zelensky. I'm a black president, so I won't do police reform. I won't do anything for black people because I'm black. We're gonna have a beer summit in the Rose Garden with Trayvon Martin. Yeah, so that's what he's doing right now with the Jew thing.
So sorry, that was my
We're arming white supremacists, but he's a Jew. He's a Jew, but we're arming white supremacists. This is what these people do.
Well,
this is what people do.
He didn't.
They'll put a Jew in the front headlines while they arm white supremacists. This is what our country does, bro.
There's videos of
white
him begging them to please like stop this shit, and they're like, "Nah, fuck that. We don't give a fuck." You know
That's
what I
why
mean?
identity politics is evil. But yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's also been 3 attempts at a ceasefire.
Yes, I will talk about that. How are we gonna? So what's the resolution? How can we have a good resolution? Because we can't even have a ceasefire. So how are we gonna have a resolution to this?
Well, Zelensky is going to have to give up. That's just the solution. He's going to have to give up and negotiate with Russia. He's losing.
They're gonna have to negotiate. Maybe I'm hoping, possibly, they can just give them 1 or 2 things. And
I don't think it's going to end there though,
but
because Lindsey Graham, John McCain when he was alive, everybody wants Putin's head, bro. They're asking publicly for him to be assassinated. So this is not going to end at all with Zelensky giving up anything because we now want him dead, and we don't stop until they're dead. We don't, as you guys know, Gaddafi, Saddam. We don't stop until they're dead. Putin's days are numbered. And so Putin's days are numbered, and he's got a nuclear arsenal.
Russians have tried 3 different times to assassinate Zelensky in just the past week.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not seeing Zelensky being president. After this is all over, I'm not seeing it.
Which really sucks because it's kind of cool that he's standing by his people, even being just an actor. Being an actor.
I mean, it's cool that he put on some combat fatigues and said, "Heck of a job, Brownie," while he's standing on an Air Force carrier.
He didn't bounce like.
Oh, that was George W. Bush. My bad.
Afghanistan dude did. The Afghanistan president.
I don't care about photo op combat fatigues, bro. I mean, this is all just a thing.
He took money and bounced the Afghan president.
Okay, so this is Stephanie. I have a question. Why is everybody so obsessed with these photo ops? You guys really buy this shit? Really? When George Bush got on an aircraft carrier with a camel fatigues, did you really think he was fighting for? How is this working, guys? I don't get it.
He's not on the ground fighting. He's not on the ground fighting. That was a photo from last year when he visited.
I don't understand, bro. Also, you buy this?
Found out Zelensky turned down us coming in and getting him out of the country. He turned us down and offered. We gave him an offer to remove him from Ukraine. Zelensky.
Oh, yeah, he did. So that was a staged call, though. That he turned it down. I'm gonna turn it down.
You think that?
Because the Hillary Clinton has been bugging the White House for 4.5 years. Now they have control of it.
Okay, but where did you see that? I mean, where did you get?
You don't know that they bugged the. Okay, well, you're right. You're right. This is my opinion. But they do it all the time. They bug the phones all the time in the White House. They bug the phone. Get the Ashraf Ghani phone call. You gotta project strength. They do it all the time. They stage all this shit. And then Ashraf Ghani ran with a bunch of money in a helicopter first time he fucking could get a chance. Because he's not... Dude, like, these guys are nothing but puppets of the rich. They're not brave at all. They're literally actors.
Wait.
Like, I don't get it. All of them! All of them!
I lost my train of thought for a second.
All of them!
You could always go steal a Russian oligarch's yacht.
None of them are brave. None of them have principles. None of them have values. They're all actors, bro. We gotta snap out of this shit with the Zelensky turned it down on a fucking staged phone call.
Yeah, well, except, the one actors.
Guys.
The ones that aren't actors that are actually dying.
Yes, yes, you're right. The people, the soldiers, they are dying.
Not just
for what?
He wants to be a hero.
Civilians.
For defense contractors, photo ops, and Russian oil.
I'm talking about civilians.
I know, that's why they're dying.
Yeah.
And
he has to surrender if he wants to be a hero. At this point, he has to give up if he wants to be a hero.
So what are the Russians gonna do with him, Zelensky? What do you think?
I don't know what's. I probably could find out what they're going to do with him, but I don't know exactly.
I know what we do with Putin.
I don't want to answer something like that.
Surrender. What makes you think he will have to surrender? Honestly, I mean,
the only time he won't have to surrender. The only time he won't have to surrender is if we get involved. So I hope he does.
I don't
exactly,
know.
And we're not getting involved. So who's going to save him? He's losing.
I don't
the
know,
war.
bro. We might get involved, bro.
I mean,
everybody wants to on the Twitter. So.
It's going bad for Russia, really bad. The war's going.
Well, here's the thing. Russia hasn't even sent like a good amount. They didn't send their whole army. They only sent who they had at the border.
Actually, they said that they sent almost 100% of all his ground forces into Ukraine.
Who's at the border? Yeah,
the ones
ground
who are
forces
ready
at the border. Yeah,
the
ones that are already there at the border. Yeah, he didn't send his whole army. If he was to send his whole army, this probably would be done quicker. But we also got to talk about the fact that they're smuggling weapons inside. And
we're gonna have to save that for more of a time, guys, because we're at the top of the hour. But guys, what if we scrapped Kamala Harris and we made Tulsi Gabbard vice president, and she said no, they're not gonna join NATO.
Screw Tulsi, not after.
Not after what? Not after what? Because literally every time you guys say that, you have nothing to say. Why are you so mad now about Tulsi?
Why am I so mad?
What'd she do?
Now? Because she was
bad-mouthing
Ukraine as well.
About what? Bro, about the president who shot rubber bullets.
That was pro-Russia.
Okay, Stephanie. Zelensky literally shot his political opponents with rubber bullets.
But he didn't bomb an elementary freaking school.
Okay, but he shot his political opponents with rubber bullets. It's not democratic.
Are they alive?
Oh my God, bro! You sound like
can't kill though.
I mean, literally, agree to disagree, guys. Because okay, if you say so, all of these people are horrible people, and the fact that you could choose a side against these people are like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. We could do the guy who shoots his people with rubber bullets, or we could pick the guy who bombs elementary schools. Well, the lesser of two evil. And now where are we at? See?
I picked
Nether. I picked Cheerios. I picked Barney. I picked rainbows and Care Bears, not Zelensky or Putin.
Okay, good.
I think there's also
70. Are you mad?
Nope.
Don't be mad.
I'm not mad.
Guys, don't be mad. Be free thinking, innovative, totally open-minded.
This is what we do.
This is what we do.